Welcome. And if you are not new here, welcome back. My name is Shanice, and this is Faith in the Wilderness, where I have been commissioned to lead and guide women through the wilderness towards the promises that God has for them. So, I have been working on a wilderness activation guide. And so, as I was sitting down preparing content, the Lord was like, you need to share the story. And I was like, oh my goodness, Lord. And He was like, you know what story I'm talking about. And so, this episode is about to get real, raw, transparent, and vulnerable. And it is about the time that the Lord called me to leave behind my relationship. So, just as a little background, I did what all ladies do when they're dating someone and they want to know. So, at this point in my relationship, I believe I had been with my ex for about 2 going on 3 years, and he had proposed to me. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I don't already let the man propose, but I'm like, okay, good Lord, is this my husband? And when I prayed that prayer, my ex went through my phone. And for me, it wasn't about the going through the phone, but it was just the fact that after I prayed that he did. And so now the thing is, my ex had gone through my phone multiple times prior to this. And we always just was like, okay, we can work through this. Let's, move forward. This time it was different because he packed a bag and he left. And so I remember I was sharing the details with my family, and my sister was like, okay, I'm gonna come over there and help you pack. And so the next day, my dad and my sister came over, they helped me pack, and I moved back home with my parents. I knew that the Lord was trying to tell me, like, this is not your husband. But I felt like, okay, I moved out. So maybe if we just had space from each other, it was something that we could, even though we're no longer living together, we can work on and be able to come back together. So things were going fairly well. We still were having a couple of hiccups. And this was in September of last year. So September 2024. At the top of the year, when I decided to really start to take my walk with the Lord seriously, I did the fast. And so on the second fast, which was a 3-day dry fast, the Lord was like, it's time to go. It's time to leave the relationship. And so I struggled with it because I'm like, I don't want to hurt him. I just told him, like, I loved him. I do want to be together. I do want to work things out. And now I'm having to go back and be like, I know that I said all of these things, but the Lord is moving me in a different direction. And so I also didn't want to word it to where I'm like shifting all the way on, well, God told me this. Because I'm like, well, no, I also need to acknowledge the fact that I knew this wasn't what the Lord wanted for me, and I was disobedient, and I had to answer to the consequences. Like, I should have took my time, but I was rushing because this is somebody I love and care about, and I moved impulsively. And so now I'm having to go back and be like, I know I did say these things, but this is the reality of it. So even after I told him we couldn't be together, I was saying that the time wasn't right. And so we broke up, but then a couple of months later, he came back and was like, I really love you. I really want to make this work. You're who I want to spend my life with. And again, even after God told me this was a no, I still was like, okay, maybe we can try to work things out. And finally, the Lord was just like, no, like, I don't understand what you don't understand about no. And so again, I had to go back and I had to be like, the Lord said no. And so I had to come to the understanding that when the Lord tells you to leave something, if you do not leave when he tells you to leave, he will make it to the point where you have to leave. Because even after that first initial no, so many other things happened that pushed me further to a place I didn't want to be. And so The Lord was like, obedience is better than sacrifice, because He will allow that thing to hurt you if you don't release it when He tells you to. And so I also had to take accountability for, I had a hard time being 100% truthful, because this was somebody I love. I didn't want to hurt him. And so I was putting myself in a disobedient spot with the Lord, because one, I'm not telling the full truth, and a half truth is still a lie. So not only am I lying, I'm moving in disobedience, which is also rebellion. And so it was just a crazy time. But the Lord said, leave it. And I've gotten to a place in my life where if the Lord tells me to do it, I'm doing it. No matter who might not understand, no matter if I look crazy. If the Lord is telling me to put it down, I put it down. And if He tells me to pick it up, I pick it up. I have gotten to such a place where my obedience to God is a no-brainer. Like, say less, Lord. So, because we all know that the Lord will not take something and not give you something better. And I think also it was so much healing that the Lord had to do with me, so much deliverance, not even just from the relationship standpoint, but who I had become prior to the relationship, why I was in a relationship, and who God had called and created me to be that I needed to get to. So the Lord was like, you can't do what I need you to do until I have done this work in you. And so it was a lot of work to do. But my charge to you is, if God is calling you to leave something, whether that's a place, a job, a relationship, that could also be mindsets, toxic patterns, do it the first time. Because if He has to keep telling you, it will get to the point where He will allow it to hurt you, where you have no choice but to leave. And it won't have been in the maybe less damaging way than when He told you to the first time. So, and also just obedience is better than sacrifice. So I would love for you to share if you have a testimony about a time the Lord called you to leave something, whether you listened or you didn't listen, or you're struggling with that now. I would love for you to comment below and we can chat about it. As always, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. I pray you all be blessed, and I love you lots.